Minute past the hour. Thank you, Kristen. First this morning, a massive winter storm is bringing blizzard warnings to millions across the East Coast. Early projections show that storm could hit from New England to the Jersey Shore and bring between 2 and 3 feet of snow and 35-mile-per-hour winds. Thousands of flights have already been canceled right now, and United plans to cancel all flights Tuesday at Newark, LaGuardia, and Boston and Philadelphia airports. 3 flights, by the way, to New York from the Sunport have already been canceled. We did some checking this morning. New and developing this early hour, some overnight news from Northwest Albuquerque. Police are on the scene of a crash. They say a driver was drunk when she hit a fire truck. Police tell us the fire crew was at 2nd in Arvada at another scene when a vehicle hit the back of that fire truck. No damage to the truck. No one was hurt, but the driver has been arrested, accused of DWI. New Mexico State Police are searching for 2 teens who escaped from custody. Police say 18-year-old Michael D. Herrera and 17-year-old Nicholas Davis were working on 4th Street just north of Montano when they ran off. Employees at the CYFD Nuevo Youth Facility, where the 2 are serving time, noticed they were missing around 8 on Thursday night. State police tell us those teens are considered to be dangerous.
It's a high priority for us to get them back into custody. Due to the nature of their charges.
De Herrera was charged with armed robbery, Davis for car theft. If you see either one of them, you're asked to call police. Time is 5:03 this morning. A city councilor is pushing a plan to make your walk or run safer. Brad Winters says pedestrian-friendly zones that he wants to create would mean safety improvements and better signage, other warnings as well for drivers in areas where there are a lot of pedestrians and cars. This follows an incident last week where a woman was critically injured and her dog killed while using a crosswalk at Wyoming near Paseo. Winter says the city paid UNM for a study on where the zones should go and what they would look like about a year ago. The city-funded UNM study has not been finished yet.
And we need to take it seriously. Albuquerque is a beautiful place to live. Look at this beautiful day today. So you have a lot of pedestrian walkers and things, and so we need to do something.
Winter says he's going to get a status update on the study this week. He says counselors covering downtown, East Downtown, and the International District have also considered the same type of safety zones. State Attorney General Hector Balderas says he's looking at releasing more information from an audit concerning alleged fraud by behavioral health providers. The New Mexico Foundation for Open Government sued last September after former Attorney General Gary King and the Human Services Department refused to release that audit. The Attorney General is currently researching whether or not it should release more of the 2013 audit. He says he'll be making a $1 million funding request to help speed up that investigation. It's 5 minutes past the hour. We're following some developing news out of Washington, D.C. right now. A spokesman for President Obama says a device of some kind has been found on White House grounds. Spokesman Josh Earnest says so far it doesn't appear that device poses a threat to anybody. It's not clear exactly what it is, but the president and his wife are currently visiting India. They're not even there. They're going to be stopping in Saudi Arabia tomorrow before returning to Washington and the White House. The United Nations Security Council is expected to hold emergency meetings today. Ukraine's president says he has intercepted communications that prove Russian-backed separatists were responsible for a rocket attack on Saturday that killed at least 30 people. In Yemen, the president resigned last week, leaving that nation with no leader and creating chaos. With no sign of progress and one man apparently dead, Japan is now asking for help from Jordan and other countries to save a hostage being held by ISIS. That group is now demanding the release of an Iraqi woman who faces the death penalty in Jordan. Japan's prime minister called for the release of Kenji Gato, the other hostage being held, but has not commented on the new demands. The number of measles cases in our country from the outbreak that started in Disneyland has now nearly doubled. At least 85 cases are now confirmed in 7 states, the latest coming in Nebraska and Alaska. Health officials are closely monitoring a 1-year-old after she tested positive for that disease. Experts say most cases are in California and involve patients who were not vaccinated. Measles is extremely contagious and can spread easily through sneezing or coughing. Police now say they have a suspect in the disappearance of a Georgia couple who went missing after answering an ad on Craigslist. 69-year-old Elray Runyon posted an ad on the site saying that he wanted to buy a 1966 Mustang. Well, police say somebody responded and they even sent a picture. Runyon and his 66-year-old wife, June, agreed to meet the seller in McRae, Georgia. The couple's daughters say the pair left their Marietta home on Thursday about 2 o'clock, but they never came back. Police say the phone number the Runyons called traces back to a disposable cell phone. Yesterday, authorities say they are looking for Ronnie Towns in connection with the couple's disappearance. 2 people are dead after a shooting inside a packed Home Depot. It happened in New York, where police say an argument between a supervisor and an employee ended in gunfire on Sunday. Investigators say the employee shot that supervisor multiple times before turning the gun on himself. It's not clear what the argument was about. No one was hurt. A big weekend for fun at 2 popular recreation areas in New Mexico. Capitoline Snow Play Area opened its rolling hills for the first time since 2012 to a little sledding. It's been closed the last 2 seasons because of safety issues and a lack of volunteers. This week, the area got 8 inches of powder, meaning families could finally sled down the hills again. And Sandia Peak also opened its slopes on Saturday for the first time this season. Skiers and boarders don't seem to mind the late start.
For not being open in a little while, the runs were groomed very well, and it was just an incredible.
We're just sledding and having so much fun. Yay!
It does look like fun, doesn't it? Sandia Peak is now open Thursday through Sundays. Capitoline was, by the way, only open this last weekend. Better late than ever for another ski area. The Pajarito ski area says they picked up 7 inches of snow this past week and report a 26-inch base. That's enough to open most of the mountain. Pajarito ran at 4 of its lifts, and operators say after they see how the weekend goes, they're going to announce what they'll do for the rest of the season, how many days they'll operate there. We may be starting off the day a little chilly here, but the East Coast is going from a mild winter to snow and blizzard-like conditions fast. As of right now, 2,000 flights have already been canceled, including some here in New Mexico. Many more could follow. Millions of people are bracing and preparing for what forecasters are calling the worst winter storm in years. Blizzard warnings are in place from eastern New England to the Jersey Shore. A lot of people spent the weekend preparing.
I'd much rather be doing it now when the sun's out than tomorrow afternoon when I think it may have been a good idea.
With all the snow and the wind in the forecast, the storm is expected to literally paralyze travel, despite efforts to sort of pre-treat the roads and get the plows ready. Crews in Washington, D.C. and Maryland have thousands of pounds of salt standing by and extra tow trucks ready. Happening today, the New Mexico Court of Appeals is expected to hear a case that may allow terminally ill patients to end their lives with the help of a doctor. The court is scheduled to hear arguments in a case involving a Santa Fe resident with advanced uterine cancer. Last year, a second judicial district judge ruled the state constitution said that she is allowed to end her own life. The judge also ruled doctors could not be prosecuted under the state's assisted suicide law, which classifies as helping with suicide a 4th-degree felony. New Mexico State Police, meantime, are searching for 2 teens who've been on the run for days. Police say 18-year-old Michael D. Herrera and 17-year-old Nicholas Davis were working on 4th Street, just north of Montana, when they ran off. Employees at the CYFD Nuevo Youth Facility, where the 2 men are serving time, noticed they were missing around 8 Thursday night. D. Herrera is facing armed robbery charges. Davis was arrested for car theft. A man is recovering this morning after a stabbing in northeast Albuquerque over the weekend. Police have not released many details, but a witness tells News 13 it started with an argument between a man and a woman.
And I guess it went out of hand, and she pulled out a knife or a piece of glass or whatever that was sharp in her pocket and went ham. She stabbed him. He was all cut up on his left side.
It is unclear right now what condition the victim is in or if police have caught the stabber. A $2 billion project that could create thousands of jobs in the state is moving forward today.
It's the first major transmission project to be approved in the American West, and it is a huge step forward in terms of unlocking the energy potential here.
The massive SunZia transmission line will carry renewable energy from New Mexico and Arizona to the rest of the West. The Obama administration says it'll create thousands of jobs and bring in more business to the state. But Republican Congressman Steve Pierce believes it'll interfere with testing at the White Sands Missile Range.
It looks like this thing is just being fast-tracked at the disadvantage of our national security and the job base in New Mexico.
The SunZia transmission line is set to break ground in 2018. Well, a state lawmaker wants to expand incentives for big TV shows and movies to be filmed in our state. That lawmaker is making a push this week. Santa Fe Democrat Brian Egolf says the Breaking Bad bill, which was signed into law in 2013, was a good start. It bumped the tax credit New Mexico gives TV productions from 25% up to 30%. But Egolf says it's time to go further, removing TV shows from the yearly $50 million cap for film incentives.
If you're a TV production and you're getting your 30% rebate, there is not going to be a limit on the amount of rebate that is available.
An independent study finds the film and TV industry had created nearly 16,000 full-time jobs in New Mexico over the last 5 years. Not everybody in the Roundhouse is on board with this proposal. Democrat John Arthur Smith says he's wary about promising more money in a year where the budget will likely be tight. If one New Mexico lawmaker has his way, voting would look very different in New Mexico. Senate Minority Whip Bill Payne is asking the Secretary of State how much it would cost to install a system that could identify you using a thumbprint or scanning the iris in your eye. He thinks it'll even speed up the voting process. During the November midterm election, a New Mexico man showed up to vote and was told that he had already voted 3 days ago. Officials say they had a fake signature to prove that. The state's 3 Roman Catholic bishops want New Mexico lawmakers to restrict late-term abortions. Santa Fe Archbishop Michael Sheehan says New Mexico is one of only a few states that doesn't restrict abortions after 28 weeks of pregnancy. While Republicans now control the New Mexico House, the president of a pro-choice organization in our state says the ban is unlikely to happen since Democrats still control the Senate. Time is 5:36. We could soon know who will serve on a new police oversight panel. According to the Albuquerque Journal, the council could vote on the new panel members as early as next week's scheduled meeting. Back in September, city councilors voted to create a civilian agency independent of the mayoral administration and the council. The agency would investigate and decide citizen complaints against APD. That panel is part of the reform plan for APD. The Department of Justice found the original police oversight was ineffective. The husband of one of the most outspoken critics of Governor Susana Martinez's education policies is being forced out by that same administration. Tim Court was the spokesman for the State Department of Finance, but is now on involuntary leave and will soon be out of a job. The Santa Fe New Mexican reports that the Martinez administration denied Court's firing is related to his wife's criticism of the governor's education policies. APS board member Kathy Court says her husband is not being fired for any impropriety on the job. The cabinet secretary where Court worked says Court's firing is part of a reorganization within the governor's administration. One of the nation's only singing roads is right here in New Mexico, but it's quickly losing its voice. So that's how the road sounded when it was first installed by National Geographic in October. It's made to play America the Beautiful when you drive on it, but just 3 months later, the singing street is sort of losing its tune. So there used to be a black stripe on the side of Route 66 so that people knew where the song started and ended, but now that's gone. Because of that, the Department of Transportation is working to improve the singing stripe's visibility. They're expected to paint new markings when the weather warms up. The state says it's not sure how much the restriping and extra signs will cost. They do hope to have everything installed, though, in the next few months. We're just days away from a big fundraiser for the Albuquerque Animal Welfare. Participants will be locked up in a kennel while trying to raise money for the organization. It takes place next Saturday. We have several folks from KRQE participating in next weekend's event, including News 13's Alex Goldsmith. The funds benefit pets at the shelter with the goal of helping them find some new homes. So it's all for a good cause. If you'd like to help, go to krqe.com and click on links to find the donation page. Plenty of hugs to go around at an Albuquerque restaurant, all for a good cause there too. Tim Harris, owner of Tim's Place, typically gives out his famous hugs for free, but for his annual Hugathon, he asks people to make a donation, with the cash benefiting the Tim's Big Heart Foundation. It's aimed at helping people with disabilities start businesses. Tim says there is still time to donate.
It's been going great. It's been 3 days almost. Come visit Tim's place, my place. I'm awesome. Or you can donate the hugs online.
There you go, pretty easy to do. So far, he's given out almost 4,000 hugs and collected more than $18,000. Busy guy for the weekend.